successful team at this tournament, with 3 teams in finals. Although typical competitor who's saying I really would have liked 4. He was still hurting that the women didn't make it.
No, no doubt. But there's always next time in Colombia now.
Absolutely. We're all going to get our Spanish, learn Spanish books out at the libraries. And
have you mentioned to all our viewers that that's where we'll be heading?
Absolutely. We've been discussing it already, and Tristan's actually saying how they're going to give Colombians some good advice on running the best tournament possible. As we see some great camera work here, a big scrap as Spain are putting it forward. And the other question that came up actually is, has Spain ever won a world title in underwater hockey? Because this could be a first here today.
No, look, it's the first time the Spanish have been in a world final. And also earlier today with the Colombians, it's the first time they actually made it to a medal playoff. They didn't secure the medal, but it's the first time they've been there, and it's the first time we've ever heard the Colombian national anthem and the Spanish national anthem, which both are quite long, you might have noticed.
Yes, yes. I think there's always an issue with the guy playing the anthem. He's never sure when to cut it off. I always think they should play it once through to the headphones first. I always try and do that myself whenever I get national anthem duties, and you know where to cut it. But
yes, we had an interesting incident where they should have listened to it, because in 2002 the Americans gave us their national anthem to play, which wasn't tested, and it just so happened it was the Jimi Hendrix version. So some of the dignitaries weren't that impressed, but anyway, these things happen.
We've got a sin bin here, and it's a Spanish player in the bin. And here we go, Adrian Valerio, number 9. He's going to get 1 minute in there. And looks as if we've got an official's timeout. And you see the New Zealand team 1-1, Spanish timeout. And well, the Spanish have been working hard. We've seen on the chat room that we had the mother of one of the Spanish team was on there explaining how the boys had just worked every day since Sheffield 2 years ago on this sport. They've got all their DVDs. They were looking at manoeuvres that the top teams were doing. And it's not done them too bad, has it? They've got through to the final here in what's been a competitive under-19s category.
Oh, look, there's some very enthusiastic organisers in Spain. They've been doing a fantastic job with their juniors. Of course, their federation helps them out financially, which always helps and eases the burden. And that's why they're seeing the fruits of their labour. They've got some fantastic juniors coming through, and it won't be too long before we see them in the senior ranks and really challenging for positions in the world elite.
Yeah. This is the true final. Spain beat everybody else in the group, as did New Zealand. So this is the one that everybody was expecting, and it came about quite comfortably for both teams. So both teams will be feeling quite fresh coming into this match. Spain were 1 down to Colombia early on in the semi-final, but ran away comfortable 3-1 winners. It's always interesting, I feel, when the underdog team scores an early goal. It asks the question of the favourites. You know, have you got the bottle? Have you got what's in it?
That's right.
And New Zealand, our favourites here, were 1 down, have replied.
Do we have the stats available from our stats man here for the previous games in the round robins?
We have round robin scores all the way.
The 2 teams against each other?
2 wins to New Zealand, 3-2 and 2-1.
Oh, look, that means fantastically close game, so that's what we expect here.
I think the first match, the 3-2 match, was much more competitive. 2-1 result was just yesterday, actually, when both teams already knew what the semi-finals were going to be, so it's probably a much more laid-back affair, if you can get that in underwater hockey. I've never seen many people actually sort of laid up easy in underwater hockey. Everybody seems to, there's 2 gears. It's nil and 100%.
That's right, flat out or not at all. That's exactly right. Total rest or total maximum effort.
And here's a lovely move from Spain in on the inside. There's a chance here. What a lovely swim that was.
Well, there's a lot of hands involved there. The referees haven't pulled it up.
There's a beautiful manoeuvre there. And there's the number 9 for Spain in the thick of things. Adrian Valerio, he's only just come off a sin bin.
And a great save by New Zealand. Their defence there was excellent to push it right out.
Well, sometimes it's interesting. We're going to see, I think Neil Dixon's just signifying...
yeah, it's against Spain.
Yeah. That's, and we're going to have an official's timeout here as they just have a little chit-chat about this. Sometimes interesting, we were discussing this yesterday, that occasionally you just see the odd foul. Let's have a look at this on replay. And you just see there's a big scrap. In fact, the action we're talking about was just a little bit earlier. It was possibly just a hand on the poke just for a second there. I'm sure it wasn't deliberate, but...
there was something here, because that's where the foul occurred, so just then as we saw it. So the referees are having a major discussion on the surface. As was probably mentioned earlier, we've got 2 Dutch referees and an Australian referee.
And the man in black is one of our in-water cameramen, who's a referee himself as well. And he's given us some great pictures from in there. He's really working himself very hard.
Now they're having a discussion with the chief referee.
Yes. I think Neil's actually looking quite serious today. He's usually having a laugh at a joke, but he's a very, very good referee. And this is the thing where this makes a difference between a top referee or top official, isn't it? You've got to have that clarity of thought.
That's
even
right.
though there's a lot of pressure on. We're in a world final, and this is why these guys get picked to do this job. They're having a good discussion here, and they want
to make sure it's right. It's as simple as that. It's got to be right. So between the 4 of them, they'll discuss all the possibilities and come up with the answer.
A little bit of body language there from one of the officials suggesting he was overruled and was happy to accept it. It's still gone the Spanish way, the Kiwi way, New Zealand. So it's a free to New Zealand after all, lads. And here we go.
Well, not the best of passes off the free.
And as always with these really exciting matches, I can't believe the clock is already down to 4 minutes in the first half. It's time just flies, doesn't it, when you're really enjoying these matches?
Oh, look, it does, and even the players playing it think that as well. You look up at half-time and think, what, half-time already?
Well, Spain's still putting the pressure on here.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're not letting the New Zealand attack out of their out of the 2/3 zone of the pool, so it's great work by the Spanish team.
Yeah, they're doing really well. It's gone out to the left again. New Zealand, we've seen before, they do like to play up this left-hand side. It's Tristan was explaining how it has become a facet of the Kiwi team. They like to move it up the sides occasionally. Sometimes they'll adapt that tactic depending on the opposition and what they like to do as we go over the halfway line, and New Zealand have a move on. They've only really had one serious move on Spain and scored from it.
Yeah, I know the New Zealanders definitely do play a wall game. I think I mentioned that yesterday in the match with New Zealand and South Africa, where they just push up the wall and try and get numbers to the bottom in large groups and push through everybody. Good
defence there from New Zealand. There was a 2-on-2 situation and they just pulled it away. The one thing I've learnt a lot from quite a lot of the teams, Graham, we've talked about this before from Sheffield, is that New Zealand, the girls were up for 4 hours this morning, so they got up really early, studied videos of the Dutch team to analyse their play and work it out. Of course, Tristan then said, well, we still lost, but at the end of the day, at least we had tactics that we were going into it, rather than just going into a match blind with just like, well, let's just just play our game and not even worry about the opposition. Now you can actually plan for the opposition.
Well, that's right. I mean, you have to analyse what you're doing and totally plan it. And of course, having the 24/7 video feeds helps that along the way.
Yeah, New Zealand are just starting to move into the Spain half. They're doing these wall manoeuvres, which is a valid part of the game. Just edging it up that wall. It's now just split open for a second. And here's a chance for New Zealand. They're breaking on the left-hand side now. And the buzzer's gone.
I was going to say, I thought that may be against the New Zealanders. I'd say he's gloved it down the wall to try and get the advantage. And, of course, the free's gone Spain's way.
Well, when there's a bit of play like that, we found in our experience it's either a foul manoeuvre which has caught the opposition out, or it's been an absolutely exceptional piece of play. And more often than not, it's a foul manoeuvre.
That's right. Well, the New Zealanders have called a timeout here. They obviously feel like they're pushed over the halfway line, so they want to probably get fresh players in and get ready for the restart of play so they can make a drive up the pool.
Yeah. As the New Zealand guys, they're not exactly having a chat, are they? They're just having a break.
No, exactly.
There's the Spanish team. They're using this timeout for their advantage. The manager is in there having a good discussion. Incredible that the Spanish team have made it through to this final. Yep, the score's 1-0. We don't actually need to see the score on their cameraman because we've actually got a scoreboard on our screen here as an overlay, so we know exactly what's going on with 3 seconds to go, and we're back under the water. And
the Spanish don't seem to be penetrating much, neither team for that matter seems to be penetrating much off their frees. That's obviously an illegal stop by the New Zealand team. They're going to push back another 3 metres and give that 3-metre advantage to Spain again.
Yeah. Well, just to let you know, those of you who are watching this live for free, then there are replays available, of which there's a small charge, and the replays are much better quality than the live feed. We're only allowed a certain output here from Durban. And for the finals, we are actually going to create DivX versions of the files, which will be DVD, almost DVD quality. And those will be quite big files, almost be like a gig in size. But you'll be able to download those, and you get a real top quality viewing. So for those underwater hockey fans out there, we will put all 5 finals available as DivX downloads. You see our cameraman's really coming to the field at the moment, just to get a real good view of what's going on in that corner.
And another stop by the referee, and it's going to be against the New Zealand team. He's pushing them back to 3 metres. That's the trouble in the wall game, especially on the left-hand wall. You can tend to get a lot of stick fouls, and that's the type of game New Zealand play. So, you know, they're open to that sort of thing a lot.
What do you mean with a stick foul, Graham?
Well, it's just that they're jammed up against the walls, and they end up pushing the hands of other players with their hands rather than playing the puck with the playing area of the stick. Yeah. And that's probably what the referee's pulling them up for.
Well, there's another foul there, but it's going to be immaterial which way it goes, because we're half-time here in Durban at the Kings Park Olympic Pool, where it's quite a nice day out here in Durban. It's the final day of 9 days of pretty frenetic action, and I think it's going to be nearly 200 matches when all is said and done. I can see this says match number 190 on the list, so it looks as if there's 194 matches.
Yep, that's about it.
It's pretty good going. It feels like it as well to us. I think we're all going to have a real good sleeping. Forget seeing us at breakfast in the morning, Graham. We're going to be lying in, no doubt.
No, I'll be the same. And then it's off to the airport at lunchtime and lovely 19-hour flight back home.
Yes, back to the slog. Well, I don't know what the time currently is in New Zealand. I know we've had a lot of people watching, but if you tell me on the chat room, I know a few people are staying up late at night.
I would imagine it'd be around 12 o'clock in New Zealand at night, or thereabouts, 11, 12, something like that.
Well, here's
the news just come through, 11:30.
11:30 p.m. Oh, that's not too bad at all.
Close.
That's good. This is the New Zealand team having their discussions, getting their breath, and Spanish, both teams looking fresh. They're all under 19 boys, so they're all as fit as fiddles out there. So
you've got all those flags in the background. You can see the New Zealand flag, Australian flag, Colombian flag, Spanish flag.
Yes.
It's certainly an international event.
Yes, we've got a few more matches coming up here before we wrap it all up. Coming up next, it's the Open Masters, South Africa against the Netherlands, the 1 and 2 seeds. And in the Women's Elite, South Africa versus Australia will be a great match. As will the Masters, of course, just earlier, because that'll be tight according to their round-robin matches. And then finally, it's the Open Elite with New Zealand looking to defend their world title against France. And interesting getting a New Zealand perspective. I'm not sure if Tristan was being totally open and honest with me. He was saying that they were actually quite comfortable whichever team got through, but I really suspect that they'd have preferred to play France, and having beaten them 4-1 in the round robin, they will be big favourites to take the Open Elite title here in a few hours' time.
Oh, look, it's certain they would have rather played France than Australia, I feel. You know, Australia has always been a bit of a nemesis to them, and given them a hard time where they seem to have got over the top of the French on a number of occasions. So, yes, I think it would have been definitely the Australians that they were glad they didn't have to play.
So Spain, they scored within 1 minute and 20 seconds in the first half. Can they do the same again in the second half? As the second half gets underway, New Zealand win that one comfortably on the swim-off and get the first move in. So here's our close-up cameras. The battle for moving the puck, and Spain have moved forward here, and there's a little opportunity. Flick forward.
The Spanish is under him.